Hey Cancer, it's Ryan with Arrows of Love. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do your February 2022 Love Tarot and Astrology reading. If you like these videos and would like to see more of them, please click the like button and subscribe. It helps the channel and it's very much appreciated for me. All right, Cancer. It is February 4th. It's Friday. We are finally through some really difficult retrogrades. So Mercury went through a retrograde cycle and so did Venus in the signs of Capricorn. Mercury started out in Aquarius, moved back to Capricorn. Venus was in Capricorn the entire time. So for you, that's your seventh house. Capricorn's the exact opposite sign of Cancer. The seventh house is the house of others, partnerships, relationships, sexuality, friendships. It's your close relationships, essentially. So it was a review of that. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So for you, that's family and that's also gains. So a lot of things could come up over the last couple of weeks with money. There could be some windfalls even during this time, or there could be some loss of cash. Things could come up with family. These are just themes that could potentially come up because that's what Venus rules for you. It's the fourth house and the 11th. That's gains in family, home, roots, foundation, hopes, wishes, and dreams. So there's some good stuff in here, but some things could have come up with family and loved ones. Mercury is now stationed direct in the sign of Capricorn. And this was just a few weeks that he was going retrograde. This was a difficult one for me. I had a lot of little Mercury retrograde irritations come up for me, and I had some Venus retrograde stuff come up too. So it's been a very interesting retrograde cycle. And I have a ton of personal planets sitting in Capricorn. So I have my Sun, Venus, and Mercury sitting in Capricorn. So I had a lot coming up for me over the course of the last few days. The last week. But now it's finally, these planets are standing still in the sky right now. So that's Mercury and Venus. And now they're going to start moving forward again now that they're done with this retrograde cycle. But they're going to move through its shadow, which means these are the degrees by which Mercury and Venus were moving backwards. And then they're going to hit Pluto. So if there was a lot of intense things over the last 6 weeks, 3 weeks especially, it's a time of review. It's time to go back over that. It's time to close it out. Now Mars, the planet of action, vitality, inertia, cutting, severing, it's action oriented. It's the warrior. It's also in Capricorn. This concentrated amount of energy sitting over in Capricorn. So this is really interesting stuff that's going to happen next. So we went through maybe some things with relationships. There could have been things coming up with, let's see here, Mercury rules your third house of communication, local communities, friends, siblings, and also that 12th house of hidden things. That's Gemini. So things bubbling up, right? And it really kind of started with that Cancer full moon about two and a half weeks ago. So that's kind of what kicked it all off. And so the last 2.5 weeks have been really crazy for you, like they have for me. It's now time to start moving forward. So I'll let you know, Cancer, because I always tell you what's going on with me. The last few weeks have been crazy for me. I've had some unexpected expenses come up with my HOA. So that's that Mercury, unseen things. That's also Venus. Venus represents money, gains. So I had an unexpected expense with my HOA come up. I had to go replace tires on my car. That's possessions, resources, but it's also travel. So that's Mercury and Venus coming up. So I had to go put some new tires on my car because I had a flat tire. Casey boy over here, I had to bring him into the vet, and he had some boogies in his eye. Turned out to be pink eyes because he was playing at daycare and getting into things. And Pluto represents release, purge, shit, literally. So you can see how all of these themes continue to come up. Now, Venus retrograde was interesting too. And for me, this has a lot to do with family, ancestry, looking back at family, making some connections between roots and foundation, and where I come from, and my own evolution, and my family's evolution, and looking at family dynamics. So that came up a lot for me. Over the course of the last few weeks, people I haven't heard from in a while, they're coming back too. That's very Venus, Mercury retrograde sitting over in Capricorn, that 7th house, people coming back, close relationships, right? So that's definitely a theme that could come up for you, Cancer. And there was an interest, a romantic interest on the radar. And like I always said about Venus retrograde, and I always know this, is it was actually before Venus retrograde. It's kind of interested in someone. I knew they were connected to someone else. And, they were going through their own thing, their own relationship. I knew about it. I actually tried to help out and provide some guidance and counseling. And sounds like they're going to get back together and trying to give their marriage a shot. So it's an interesting one just because usually when you're single, you can meet someone and they might present themselves as being available. But in this case, that wasn't. I knew this person wasn't available. So this Venus retrograde, I think, for me, was very much about closing out some old wounds. Because I've been burned on Venus retrograde before. So, trying to be cognizant of how these typically go. Usually couples during Venus retrograde will get back together. But we've seen a lot of couples also break up in the news. So there's been some big ones. And with Pluto sitting there, sometimes that's an ending, that's death. So it could go either way. Either you heal your relationship and it starts something new and fulfilling, or it's the beginning of the end, essentially. So this is kind of like that time when you know where it's headed overall. So that's it's been really good. There's been things with work too. So I'm getting hit from all angles, essentially. I have family stuff come up, I had work stuff come up, I had relationship stuff come up. So I'm glad to be through it. It feels like we're through it, but now is the time, like I said, where the planets are standing still. So there's still intensity in the sky for probably the next week. And then Venus will start moving forward with Mars. Now this is interesting because Cancer, Mars and Venus are the cosmic lovers. Mars is like this divine masculine energy. It rules your 5th house of romance, that's Scorpio, and also work, that's Aries. So that's your 10th house and your 5th house. So things coming up with work here, possibly even romance. And then Venus is what you're attracted to. And Venus being in that 7th, it's been sitting in that 7th, and all of a sudden Mars comes up, and they travel together for the next couple months, and they hit Pluto. So if you've been going through some crappy stuff, you need to get out there, and you actually need to put yourself out there, because someone could come into your life and change everything. Especially in that 7th house. Those are long-term partnerships. So some of you might also be looking at the job front as well, because Mars rules that 10th house and Venus rules that 11th house of gains. So if some of you get an unexpected offer out of nowhere, you probably need to pursue that. It could be something really good. So there's things with romance, partnerships, job, and family. I know that sounds very specific, but the point is Venus and Mars come together. And Venus, remember what Venus is. It's relating. It's bringing things together, right? That's what Venus does. She relates. Mars splits. Mars wants to separate. Mars wants to do his own thing. He's kind of individualistic. But when they're together, remember, they're irresistible. They can't help it. They have to be together. So they're traveling together, and this doesn't happen very often because of the way the planets were moving with this retrograde cycle. Venus moves very fast usually. Mars is a little bit slower, but because Venus was retrograde, they move together now. So that's why I was saying, you gotta really think about your boundaries and limits with this one. That's what Capricorn is all about, and value. And there's a lot with communication. So you have to purge out this old communication that's been sitting there, things that have been buried. Now you know what it is. Now it's time to deal with it, right? That's what this one is all about. And it's on all fronts. It's family, it could be work, it could be relationships. It might be all three, like me. So it's a test. Can you find that middle ground? Can you tap into that Venus energy in Libra where you can harmonize and blend when people want to separate and cut, right? So we have to tap into that Venus energy. Venus is now going to be reborn. She's going to start moving forward. She's going to conjoin with the sun in about 9 months. You can see where Venus retrograde cycles. So Venus retrogrades, and then 9 months, something is reborn. So some of you could be getting pregnant. If you don't want to get pregnant, know that too. But you can see how these Venus retrograde cycles work. So retrogrades every 18 months, and then after the retrograde cycle, 9 months later, something's reborn. So Mars is exalted in Capricorn right now. So this is exalted action. This is directed action. This is the strategist. So this isn't like the warrior that just is impulsive and goes, thinks irrationally, impulsively, and kind of just does his own thing. This is the strategist. Now he's thinking, what do you want for the long term? Because that's what Capricorn wants. Capricorn wants stability and structure, something that can last. And Mars can supply that with Venus. So let's see what's going on, Cancer. We're going to pull 6 cards from the Tarot, 1 card from the Angels Oracle, and also 1 card from my Astrology deck. This will be the sign that's important to you. I've been really enjoying using this deck. It's been a lot of fun. So let's see what is going on with you, Cancer. You guys know I'm a Cancer rising. This one's been an intense one. But I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh, all the planets are feeling retrograde. I almost feel like, okay, I have a little bit more clarity about what comes next. So today was kind of like a turning point where I'm like, feels good. Like no more surprises for a little bit. Like that's really what it comes down to. All right, here we go, Cancer. So this is the general energy from the angels for February. That's this one. Worth waiting for, divine timing is at work in your love life. Like I said, Cancer, if you have kind of cleared out the karmic sludge with this Venus retrograde cycle and you're recognizing patterns that need to go, especially patterns with people that are not available, or you making yourself not available, it's worth the wait. This Venus-Mars energy here is doesn't happen very often. You don't see Mars actually move faster than Venus and pass Venus almost ever. It's just one of these things where it's and there will be some astrologers that say this is not significant. I kind of think it is, because you just don't see this very often. So it's worth waiting for. You have to give it a little bit of time. The universe is conspiring to bring you something amazing. All right. This is the sign that will be important for February. Capricorn. It's one of the most serious signs of the zodiac. Capricorn is here to get the job done. Represented by the Go, Capricorns are the entrepreneurs and CEOs of the astrology wheel, ready to tackle hard lessons without breaking a sweat. That's what these retrograde cycles were all about. Hard lessons. It was a review. It was a realignment. That's what retrogrades are all about. Have to go back over something, right? So it's tackling those hard lessons in Capricorn. They're ruled by the planet Saturn, which teaches patience and serves as a guide toward inner authority. A major shift happens for most Capricorns during a huge transit known as the Saturn return, which occurs every 27 to 29 years. So that's how long it takes Saturn to go around the sun. So when you're having a Saturn return, it's kind of like a leveling up. Like how much adulting did you do over the last 30 years, and did you learn your lessons? This is a challenging time, but also an opportunity for Capricorns to grow beyond their wildest dreams. So think about what that means. This has to do with your relationship. So if you've learned some really hard lessons and you did what you had to do as a Cancer, nurture, mother, take care of people, heal people, and not let it affect you, and realize that there's a boundary between what it is you feel, Cancer, and what's actually going on inside of you. Those are the hard lessons in Capricorn. Then you get something beyond your wildest dreams. That's amazing. That's amazing. So let's see what is what's in store for you. This is for Cancer. Show me the messages for Cancer, please. What do Cancers need to hear? All right. First card out. Here we go. The Hermit. Okay. Talk about that. The Hierophant. Two of Swords. Tower. Death. Wow, you have a ton of major arcana here. And the Fool, my God. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcana here. This is, you guys should really check out my videos when we started these retrograde seasons. That would have been back in like November, December timeframe. And I kept saying how this is going to completely transform you, Cancer, because Pluto is in the mix here. And what I'm going to say here is the dark night of the soul is coming to an end. It's coming to an end, and it's going to be kind of a shocking end, to say the least. So we start out with the Hermit. So right now, like I said, divine timing is at work. Capricorn is completely making over that 7th house. So for a lot of Cancers, in some way, shape, or form, you're feeling like the Hermit. You're closed off. You're feeling confined. You're feeling isolated. This is loneliness. This is dark night of the soul, right? And you're letting that inner light, this is the star, this is those long-term goals, Aquarius, that 8th house of transformation for Cancer, to turn into that diamond. Universe is pressurizing you to turn into that diamond. And the goal here is commitment, right? That's what the Hierophant is all about. Something higher. Something that you can sink your teeth into and that can last the test of time. A lot of times this is indicative of a marriage card and a love reading. But this also has to do with organization. So maybe, if some of you are dealing with work right now, feeling like a little confined and isolated. But in a love reading, this is the same thing. You're trying to get to this point. This is what's crossing you. This is what's challenging you. Feeling isolated, but you desperately want someone, right? Not desperately. Cancers are never desperate, but that's what your heart desires, right? To give that unfulfilled, that undying love to someone. Not unfulfilled love. Mercury is still doing some weird things, so could be some Freudian slips here. But it's that unconditional love, right? That's what it really is. And at the bottom of the reading is the Tower. So really what this comes down to is it's you shaking things up. It's you saying, I'm going to do things differently. I see the patterns now. I see the lovers falling out. I see, that's what this is, right? Something wasn't built on steady ground and it's at the foundation. So it's time to rebuild. It's time to rebuild, and it's time to let something go permanently. It's death, it's Scorpio. You have Virgo energy here. Taurus energy here. That's Mercury, Venus, right? This is Scorpio. This is the transformation. This is letting it go. This is something just being done with. So for some of you, this is a divorce. This is the end. Others of you, this is the end of you being single. Not knowing which way to go. Some of you are making a decision to be single. That's some of it too. We're just done. And remember, truths are still coming out because Mercury is going to start moving forward again, and he's going to hit Pluto in the next week or two. Again, it's kind of like more is coming out, more things from the underworld, more truths are coming out, and it's just going to be a clean break. It's a clean break, or it's quite literally you saying, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to unload all of my emotional karmic baggage that I just had to deal with over the last, 2 retrograde cycles here. Universe has now shown you what needs to go, and it's now time for you to take a risk. Some of you are going to meet someone. Could be someone a little bit younger too. But this is a turning point. This is a major turning point in a lot of Cancers' lives. This is the time when the sun is sitting in that 8th house, and the sun rules your self-worth. And it's time for you to know what that self-worth is. And it's the transformation of it, right? Some of you are leaving a job behind. Some of you are leaving a partner behind. Others of you are going to meet someone and you're going to take a risk, and it's going to be something quite amazing. It's going to be quite amazing. But again, you had to go through this dark night. You had to go through this catharsis in order to get to where it is you want. Others, if you have someone on your radar, they could be ending something, or they're in the process of ending something, and they're coming toward you. This is an amazing reading. I'm upbeat about this, and there's a lot of heavy cards in here, but I think the heaviness is, we see it, we dealt with it, the retrogrades brought it to our attention, now it's time to deal with it. And use that Mars energy, that directed energy in Capricorn, to make what you want come true. It's worth waiting for. That higher love is on its way, Cancer. It's time for you to make a decision to take a risk on a new path, though. Hope you enjoyed the reading. Until next time, take care.